Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
You are sitting ringside with David Penzer on Radio Influence.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Sitting Ringside. My name is David Penzer. We are so happy that you are here this week once again to hear this thing we call a podcast. Do I have a treat for you? We've had the Hall of Famers, and we've had the legends, and we're going to keep continuing. And not that this guy's not a legend who's going to be our guest, who's going to join us in just a moment. But, I call him a journeyman wrestler. I mean, no disrespect when I say that. Some guys take it the wrong way. I hope he doesn't. Somebody who worked the territories and was able to make a living in, 10, 12, 15 different territories in his career. He's gone on to become a trainer to the stars, so to speak. Trained everybody involved in training Brock Lesnar and Cena and Randy Orton and Roman Reigns and, as the head trainer of OVW for so long. So want to get his take on the business, want him to tell his story. And the reason I'm so excited is because, we always talk about this is, I try to make this an opportunity to, be like two guys riding down the road in a car, talking about their career, telling stories, and give you that insight. And this guy is the epitome of what this business was in the 70s and early 80s, and late 80s for that matter, and early 90s for that matter. If you're not a fan of the F-bomb, then you're probably not going to enjoy this episode, and I apologize in advance. He's not politically correct and proud of it, but he talks like everybody or most people or a lot of people talked in the wrestling business back in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s before the world became more politically correct. And he's still living that life, and he doesn't apologize for it. And so the conversation that you're going to hear is two old friends talking the wrestling business, telling stories, and like in the old days, like when I first broke in. And people ask me why I don't get angry very often or hardly ever. People try to upset me, like the broker who I work for, the realtor, him and his assistant will mess with me, and I never get angry. About the only thing you could do to piss me off is treat my kids bad. Because I lived exactly what you're about to hear for the next hour plus. I lived every week and then every day of my life for a long time. And so this is not only insight into the career of hustler Rip Rogers, who's going to be our guest, but insight into how the business was in a different time, in a different era. And I hope you enjoy it. It's a little insight into, a little peek into years gone by where things were different. So I want to remind you guys to follow me on Twitter at David Penzer, at Penzer Ringside. If you want to email me, David Penzer at radioinfluence.com. If you like the podcast, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to leave a review if you can on your platform. and be sure to spread the word. We are nothing without you good folks who support us, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And we're going to keep on rocking and rolling. We're closing in on 1 year of this crazy podcast industry, this crazy podcast business. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I'm having a blast doing it. So we appreciate all your support. And without further ado, would like to bring on the one, the only, and there is no one else like him, ladies and gentlemen, Hustler Rip Rogers. I want to welcome journeyman wrestler, and I don't say that in a bad way. And
sure you did. Sure you fucking did.
No, I did. Here we go.
No. You don't fucking start that shit off and say something like that. Fuck you. Oh, am I allowed to cuss on this son bitch? Is this motherfucker PG?
No, you're allowed to cuss. But I was gonna say, and trainer to the stars of professional wrestling.
No. You already got your fucking little semi fucking dig in.
It wasn't a dig. I said that I had. Hold on.
Was.
I had Ricky. No. I had Ricky Santana on earlier in the year, and I said the same thing for him, and he took that as a compliment. So I thought you'd take it as a compliment. We can redo. We can redo it if you want.
Why? No, leave it on there. It's fucking better that way. I'm gonna get shit up.
Because you worked in a lot of places. You were in a lot of territories, and
well, it's called being a fucking pro, not a guy that fucking homestead somewhere because he can't, because he's fucking married he's married to somebody, fucking knows somebody, fucking homestead somewhere because he don't want to make no money, or they can make him the fucking champion or something like, or he wants to stay his whole fucking life. And God damn, I'm sick of a fucking place in a year. Get fucking real.
Well, I would say that your definition of journeyman then and my definition of journeyman is two totally different things, because that's not what and I meant no disrespect by that, and that's not what I consider a journeyman wrestler. I consider a journeyman wrestler somebody who was successful in the territory days, that was able to go to every territory and work and have a spot and make money. So I didn't have the same definition, but I do apologize. And but yeah, you are allowed to cuss, so feel free. We got off on the right foot. Hey, Rip, great to have you. I didn't even know if I got to introduce you. And trainer to the stars, Hustler Rip Rogers. Welcome to City Ringside, Rip. Long time, no talk. Haven't seen you in a while, but always a character. And I really wanted to interview you because I think your career is a lot of fun, and certainly want to talk to you about training some of the top guys in the business now. But I want to start out at the beginning. I know you grew up in Seymour, Indiana. Was that a Dick the Bruiser territory, or was that the Sheik's territory?
Well, okay, that's a good question. Now, years ago, this was before cable TV, so you had your little fucking TVs. You had to rotate the fucking antenna gimmick.
Yeah, I got it. I'm 52. I remember.
Okay, so I live in Seymour, which is an hour from Indianapolis. Now, Indianapolis is Dick the Bruiser Channel 4 area, so I watched him every week. But then I got the Louisville wrestling on it was on Channel 41 or Channel 32, which was Nick Goulas. So I got his wrestling out of Louisville. Then I could get the Sheik's wrestling because he had TV in Cincinnati. So I could put them goddamn rabbit ears or whatever, antenna towards the fucking east, and I can get the fucking Sheik. Then late night on a Saturday night, I could get Buzz Benson's All-Star Wrestling out of Paducah, Kentucky.
That's one I've never heard of.
Okay, so then I could actually watch 4 fucking programs. Then I could see all these goddamn stars I'd see in the fucking magazines. They all did TV different. They all had a very different fucking style. And you could just see what a fucking cool thing pro fucking wrestling was.
That's awesome, because that's sort of like Pro Wrestling This Week before it existed. Because when I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, you just saw Championship Wrestling from Florida. That's all there was. When I've told the story before, when I got turned on to wrestling magazines, I was shocked that there was anything other. I'm 12, but I was shocked that there was anything other than Championship Wrestling from Florida. 12-year-old doesn't think about the fact that there's a whole big world out there, and this can't be the only place that they have wrestling. I just thought that was what it was, but yeah, but that's cool that you got to see. Which was your favorite? Because I know each territory was a little different. Which was your favorite?
Well, I'm going to interrupt you right now because you're from Fort Lauderdale, and I was just there about right before you had your big thing in Tampa, right, with Bob Roop, Steve Kern, et cetera, blah, 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 and all that great thing you guys did. The Friday before, I was with the South Florida Smarks at Fort Lauderdale. They had me in, so I was there telling stories and eating at this Brazilian fucking steakhouse there. So I'm telling stories for 2.5 hours and eating, and I had a hell of a time there. Then the next night they was going on to down in was it Tampa or around there or whatever, and you guys was going to talk about the thing with Fonzie, Bob Roop, Steve Kern, et cetera, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So that was.
I didn't know that you were
cool.
in the area until like the day before. My partner, Barry Rose, told me, hey, if he told me, hey, if, for some reason we got to have a no-show, Rip Rogers is in Lauderdale tonight. That was Friday night. I said, well, when did we should have booked him. And he's like, well, I just found out a couple days ago. I guess they do a dinner there. So that's cool. So which was your favorite style? Was it Louisville, Dick the Bruiser, Indiana, the Sheik, or the Outlaw?
I was a big Dick the Bruiser fan because I'd watched him for years. You know what I mean? And then and they would televise the Expo Center. They would just televise the house show basically, and you get a little peek of Bruiser beating up a star or whatever.
Sure.
And then cause the Sheiks, I didn't understand it until I understand how to rotate the antenna and everything. And it was the old black and white TV, and it was fuzzy. So it was a different thing. And then I had Jarrett's wrestling, which is mostly the studio wrestling, but that sumbitch is crazy because they had Bruiser booked Northern Style. So he'd have a show about every 3 weeks to a month at the Expo Center in Indianapolis. And here I was the same thing. Well, hell, this is the World Championship because it says so. And the Sheik's United States Champion because it says so. And then they had so many goddamn belts down in fucking Louisville. And I watched that fucking the fucking Carney Southern Style booking because they're there every week, right? Wrestling. There's thousands of people going there. And they're just wilder than shit. Every fucking match is a fucking a Texas death match, a lumberjack match, a Russian torture match, a fucking tag team extravaganza. Everything's a fucking. It looks like fucking WrestleMania every fucking week. It's all just tweaked a little bit. So the Kentucky was when you watch that Southern style wrestling, it was so fucking exciting because Bruiser was like boring because it'd have straight wrestling almost. Then it'd have like one attraction like at the end, and you never get to see him. You might open up or, oh my God, we're running out of time. Jesus Christ, you should have come here earlier, blah, blah, blah. Motherfucker, right? So
sort of like in later years, like in the late 80s, the difference between Crockett's NWA and Vince's WWF, where Southern style was more high-flying, more fast-paced, and more competitive, and then the Northern style was more squash matches and big men. But so back in the day, there wasn't a wrestling school on every corner. So
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
You had all these choices. Who'd you end up breaking in with?
Fuck. I never went to a wrestling school. It's like when I was teaching I was a rookie teacher and playing football, and I was a couple of years before that, I had wrote a letter to Vern Gagne, and Vern Gagne had wrote me back. And this is when Ricky Steamboat was had just graduated, Buddy Rose, etc. And he had just had a class, and he was going to let me in the next year, which I should have done that.
Sure.
Because if I'd have made it through that, I'd have been really trained good. But I was like every other goof today. I just wanted to get my feet in there. So I bullshit my way in, got my Carlin Hildegard shit, my boots, my shimmer cake, my boleros, blah, blah, blah. And hell, I had all the wrestling magazines. So I half-assed knew who the stars were, who the promoters were, and stuff like that. So I'm basically bullshitting my way in.
That's fantastic.
So I had my first match in Oak Hill, West Virginia, and I'm not even fucking smart, right? Holy shit! And that's a goddamn 2-hour fucking conversation there. But in the meantime, I meet somebody, and the next month I'm going to WWF TV. Now Sheik's booking me for his TV. Bruiser's booking me for his expo, which he does the TV, and he'd book me out to do like TV for Bob Geigel in Kansas City, Bob Geigel in St. Joe, and then at the Chase there. So I got to work against Flair and fucking Murdoch, right? And I'm teaching school on the weekend. I'm teaching school, but this is on the weekend.
Right.
So that one weekend, I worked Friday night for Bruiser in Danville, Illinois, and then I worked Saturday morning Kansas City TV, Saturday night St. Joe, Missouri TV. Then I drive to St. Louis, me and this other guy, and I get to work against a match against Flair, and I get a match against fucking Mulligan. Now, I got black hair and a black fucking afro, and I look good, and I'm athletic, and I'm 22, but I ain't worth fuck. I'm not even goddamn really smart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was the most rotten motherfucker in the goddamn fucking world. But what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck. I wasn't fucking trained or anything. And if I'd have got into Gagne school, who knows if I would have got. I played 4 years of college football, 4 years of fucking baseball in college, and even scored 2 points in basketball. But fuck, this is the fucking Sheiky baby was stretching those guys. Fucking Billy Robinson was. Fucking Danny Hodge was. You know what I mean?
Sure.
These motherfuckers would have killed me, and they could have fucking broke me if they wanted to. So who knows if I would even be fucking have enough fucking balls to go through all that shit. Because Buddy Rose went through here, but he quit the first time. He said it was too hard. And then Wahoo picked him up, and Buddy worked the ring crew. He'd quit high school. Wahoo fucking picked him up and smartened him up. He says, buddy, goddamn, just fucking outlast these motherfuckers. They just want to see if you can take it. Then they will help you.
Sure.
And that's what fucking Buddy did, and that's how he got in. So wow.
You just bullshitted your way around until you were, until you were good enough to be able to do it for a living.
Well, I was just, everybody's got to meet somebody that takes care of. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I had worked this old Carney guy. He booked me into work for Nick Goulas at a Christmas Spectacular, and I was Lanny Popo's tag team partner in Nashville. So we won a couple of matches, and we lost, blah, blah, blah. Now, Paul Christie was this guy who was a business partner with Miser Angelo in the old all-star wrestling out of Paducah in the early 70s. And he worked for Dick the Bruiser. And he told me, he said, hey, he goes, hey, Mark, my name was Mark Shire. How appropriate fucking name, Mark, huh? He said, hey, Randy Savage is going to, him and his dad and his brother, they're buying in with Emile Dupre, and they're going to run the Maritime. Like I knew what the fucking Maritimes was, right? He says, he goes, I think they would like you. Here's your fucking calling, and tell him I said that. So I called Randy, and me and Randy half-ass hit it off, and I said, I'm the shit. And he just fucking laughed. And he basically said, well, we all were when we started, so that ain't, I said, but I'll do as you fucking ask. I'm just not very good, He said, well, I've seen some pictures. You look good. I said, well, that's going to be the highlight of the match. He said, don't worry, I can work around that. I said, okay. So anyway, I worked with them for 4 months, and then Randy got me booked into Nashville. Then he come back in when the season was over, and he broke up with his girlfriend, so I moved in with him, so that I turned heel, and I was his tag team partner. So then his dad, I wanted to get out of there, so he booked me into Mississippi for Frankie Kane, who was the great Mephisto, who had a good run there in Tampa for years. And Frankie named me Rip Rogers because that was Eddie Graham's name when he was when he come to Texas in 1955. Oh. So Frankie Kane said I reminded him of Eddie Graham, so he made me Rip Rogers. So I was there wrestling for Mississippi. Then Randy said, "Okay, we're gonna do a bunch of tapes." So I left there and went back and did like 10 fucking tapes and kept the name Rip Rogers. Then they was going to hang out and get some shit going, so I went off and worked Then Lanny got me booked for Don Owens out in Portland. So I got to work Portland, Seattle out there. Then Piper was out there. Fucking Martel was out there. Dutch Savage was out there. Adrian Adonis, Rotten Ron Starr, all kind of fucking guys were out there. Salvatore Bellomo, Johnny Mantell, Iceman King Parsons was out there.
That's a hell of a...
Ed Wiskowski, Jesse the Body come in. But I learned the intensity shit from fucking Randy. The no-nonsense shit. And then I learned how to fucking really work a different style being with Buddy Rose. Buddy was just so fucking good. And he was like the lead heel about 7 years in Portland, which is, they cycled the whole territory around the heel, which is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
But that was how I got in. And then I bought in with Randy and then blah, blah, blah. And then that's when Roop Orton, Malenko come in for a while, Terry Gibbs, all those guys come in. And then I was with Randy and him for 4 years, and then Garvin booked me in for fucking Bill Watts, and then it was off to fucking for Ron Fuller, then for fucking Ole, then for fucking Wahoo, blah blah blah, and the shit just kept going on and on and on and on and on.
And see, in my mind, that's and again, in my mind, that's a journeyman. I don't obviously you have a different definition, but and that's why I said that. So I was going to ask you the best paying territory you ever worked and the worst. Probably the best, if I had to guess, based on the ones you just said, was probably, and I'm guessing right now, was probably Don Owens. Is that right?
No, Don Owens paid you the most money for what was drawn, okay? Because he had weekly towns, like he ran Portland every week on a Saturday night, then every other Saturday was a Portland special. So you was in Portland 6 times a month. Then you was in Salem every Thursday. You was in Eugene every Friday. You was in Seattle every other Wednesday. You was in Eugene, Medford every other Tuesday and Wednesday. So he had all these regular towns. And they were all used to a 2-hour show with about a 10-man fucking card. And they didn't want real big guys or real small guys because you had to full time and work with everybody. So you might weigh 195, but they'd say you weighed 225. And you might weigh 260, and they would say you weighed 232. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So on paper, it doesn't look like a mismatch or whatever. But you learn the styles out there. You learned we all stayed at the fucking whole fucking hotel, and we had nothing but a good time. There was fucking rats out the fucking ass. But fucking Buddy Rose could work on a Saturday night in Portland and make what. Let's just say you could have hardly any long trips, and he could make a lot of money and be sleeping in his own bed every night. Yeah. Whereas they weren't like I worked for goddamn Bill Watts, and Jesus Christ, she was going all the way from fucking Tulsa all the way goddamn down to New Orleans, then all the way over in Mississippi, all the way over to fucking Houston, Texas. So, and a lot of those roads were 2 lanes. It's like when I go to fucking we'd work Houston, I went with Ernie Ladd a lot. A lot of times I'd drive with Ernie or Grizz and I'd listen to fucking stories. So I'd go to goddamn Ernie's house in Houston. I'd stay at his big fucking mansion there. So I was like a fucking kid in a goddamn fucking candy store of wrestling every day, eating good, fucking training, living the fucking dreams, not worried about the price of eggs. Didn't give a shit who was Democrat or Republican. Didn't give a fuck about the how rent was going or the price of fucking gas or this fucking stock. Because who in the fuck wants to grow up? I just want to fucking play wrestler, have your lats out, and act like you're fucking over, you know?
Nobody could say it better than Rip Rogers, folks. So who was, I guess now that you said Houston, so the best paying territory was probably Houston because everybody says Paul Bosch was the best payoff guy in the business, correct?
Okay, here's what it was. At the time, Bill Watts was partners with Paul Bosch. So Watts made the payoff. So it wasn't as good as it was. See, Watts, you could make money, but Watts drew. I remember I was on 2 Superdome shows there. Now you got to take in consideration, we ran New Orleans every Monday night. So one show there was 30,000 people there, and another one there was 36,000 people there. But it wasn't like WWE where you lead the fucking son of a bitch dark for 8 months, then come in. You know what I mean? It
Right.
was, they had wrestling there. They had on the Monday, a school night and a work night, and that was their best fucking town. And then all of a sudden, there's 36,000 people there. It'd be their fucking crew, and then Fritz had that fucking Dallas TV was strong, and they'd book a couple matches off Dallas, a couple of matches off Ole's TBS, and then the rest was just Watts' fucking crew. So I love working for Bill Watts. He was firm, but he was fucking fair. And I remember working. I remember one week I had 10 fucking matches. It'd be like TV. You did 2 tapes, and a lot of times you work a double shot on a Saturday and a double shot on a fucking Sunday. But every day was fucking booked.
Yeah, as you know, I traveled when I first started in WCW with Pee Wee Anderson, the referee, and he got his start in Watson. He told me all the crazy stories, 400 miles and double shots on the weekends. And,
oh yeah,
crazy stuff. But you know, like you, he was loving what he was doing. So that, you know, that's the one thing I drove a lot of miles with WCW before they started flying me, and the one thing, you know, the driving, you know, could suck sometimes, but if you love what you're doing, then it's definitely worth the aggravation. So I'm assuming the worst paying territory was probably the Miser, Angelo?
Well, you got to remember, well, before we get into all that, I never got into the business. I was never worried about making money. I wanted to get better, to meet people, market myself, learn different fucking styles for later. You know what I mean?
Right.
And as far as the payoffs with the goddamn Miser, we put money in, okay? So all we did was take a salary. The boys made more money than we did. So, but then, like, we put money in, and then all of a sudden we needed a ring truck. Miser would buy it. We needed some new cameras. Miser would just buy it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all the guys that worked for us were guys that were young guys that needed a job, right? Or some of Miser's old friends that needed a job. And it was a good transition thing until they could get booked in, quote, a real territory. You know what I mean? So when guys, if you couldn't get a job for 4 months, you come work for us for 4 months, then you at least broke fucking even. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. I know that he had a crew, you know, that was pretty loyal to him until they could go somewhere else. You mentioned Bob Roop and Bob Orton Jr., Terry Gibbs, Malenko, always had a association with him as well. Hey, were you at that FanFest thing that you were talking about, Roop, and the guy was there. Roop told the story about I
was there.
The sugar hole challenge.
Yeah.
You were there.
Now, yeah, I was there, but I did not see 1 second of it because the match before, me and Pez had a boxing match. It was in Frankfort, Kentucky. So, you know, you have your fucking match, you shit, shower, shave, you get fucking dressed, right?
Right.
And I'm not thinking anything about this because I didn't know because a lot of the towns I settled up in, but in that town, Miser or his wife would settle up. So I didn't ever have to go to the office in Frankfurt. So what I was going to do, I was going to fucking work, get the hell out of there, and get another workout to fucking gym, just to get a leg up on the next day. You know what I mean? So I remember Orton coming in and saying something. There was something going on out there.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but just so the listeners know what we're talking about. Bob Roop was doing a sleeper hold challenge where anybody that could get out of his sleeper hold, I think, got $1,000. And the way that it was set up was almost impossible for anybody to get out of because they started basically in the sleeper hold and then he just cinched it in. And for some reason there was a guy who was about 5'6", 140 that could bench about 400, 500 pounds.
No. He couldn't fucking bench. That's fucking bullshit.
Oh, well, that's his story.
No, he was a young karate guy, flexible as fuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
Flexible. So you could be taking that. You could be taking your fucking neck and get forced down to your fucking chin to your fucking balls, and it was like a rib to him. You know what I mean?
He actually mentioned that. He actually mentioned that at the Fan Fest.
Okay, that's like now Bob didn't really want to fucking do that. You know what I mean? He was a babyface.
Yeah, he said.
Now as a you know, and we didn't really have any set rule. You know, instead of saying, okay, now Bob might get tired or whatever, right? So we'll take whatever. So it was, and we never done it before. So like in any promotion, you're going to learn each time the mistakes you make and each time to correct it. So about the 10th time through, you got a successful formula. Yeah. But we didn't have that. And I always ribbed Bob. I said, Bob, you got the greatest gimmick in the world. Nobody but you will know whether you let him out or not. He just fucking laughed and fucking smiled.
But he owned a piece of the territory though, so he said that was like.
I know, but who cares? If he lost $1,000, that means he lost $100.
Yeah.
And just to see Miser pay that $100 that'd be worth that. You know what I mean?
I actually when I heard that story, I was more shocked that somebody that you know, everybody says, wow, you know, he got out of the sugar hole because it was, like you said, the way it was set up, it was almost impossible to get out of. But I was less shocked that he got out of the sugar hole, this kid, and more shocked that the miser ended up, and I know he was forced to kind of, but ended up paying this kid $1,000, because $1,000 to Angelo Poffo, for those who don't know, I mean, he was a proud miser. I'm not saying anything he wouldn't agree with. He'd high five me. He was a proud miser, and you know, for him to pay a Mark $1,000 for getting out of a hold had to be worse than death. Seriously.
Well, you got to remember, I gave him the name Miser.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was he was the carpetbagger when I met him, and I said, "No, you're the goddamn miser." So people be throwing money in the ring, getting his heat. He'd be taking that money and sticking it down his boots and everything, right? But anyway, the thing about it is you got to remember, he was an only child and he was born where they didn't have running water or electricity. So he was scared to death of having nothing. So during the Depression, he was born in 1925. So he's 8 years old. He's at the height of the Depression. You see what I mean?
Right.
So you got a different it's like, you look at today's world, there's no fucking respect. Nobody can say anything. Kids don't know what fucking work is. You got more fucking cars and TVs and phones than you got people in the house. And we're fucked. And we're all a nation of fucking pussies. And that's all we are. But anyway, that's my fucking political thing right there. Anyway, back to the fucking thing. So then Bob had the sugar hole thing. And then the rest was fucking hearsay. I was actually there and didn't see one fucking second of it, because I remember the fucking we ran there the first Wednesday of every month. It was one of our best towns, and they said that if Miser didn't fucking pay that motherfucker, they weren't gonna let him come back to the building.
Now,
so he paid him.
I got a question for you, because word has it that back in the day, the NWA promoters would tell the guys that went and worked for the Outlaw promotions that they would get blackballed if they went and worked opposition. We all know in hindsight that that's kind of BS, because if you had the talent, they take you. But at the time, you're a young guy. Were you worried about getting blackballed when you were working with Miser and ICW?
No, I wasn't working anyway, right? Who's the guys that fucking gave me a job and took care of me? It was them.
There you go.
And I'm thinking this thing's going to fucking take off. Hell, at one time, David, we ran 2 towns on a Saturday, or 3 towns on a Saturday night.
Really?
A lot of times we were double booked on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. But on 2 Saturdays, we actually had 3 towns running. We had our spot show ring. We had the Johnson City, Tennessee ring that we kept at Johnson City, and Plowboy Pete and the ref ran it down there on the east end. On the west end, We had this guy, Bill Cagle, kept a ring at his house down there. So we'd work like Cape Girardeau, Missouri, Southern Illinois, or like Western Kentucky. He would bring the ring from there. So we had access to ring. We had a lot of fucking guys. Hell, at the one time, we had 2 midgets employed full time because we had so many towns. If not, we'd be a special fucking referee, working the fucking gimmick table, working as a fucking midget manager, whatever. So hell, we were Carney's way above, or way out there.
So that business was good for a while, is what you're saying?
Well, okay, it started out slow, then it got good. Then we still, like if you've seen the goddamn Red Sox Yankees, it's good.
Right.
But if you take it somewhere else, they've seen that act for how many times?
Right.
How many? You know what I mean? Everybody gets fucking stale. You know what I mean? But the key to the wrestling territory, we had some really great workers that worked our fucking balls off. We'd hard way each other and would go way beyond the call of fucking duty. But the other promoters, the ones that were there first, they had the solid TVs, the stronger TVs, with a solid TV time spot, like noon, 1 in the afternoon. We were coming on at 12:30 at night. They were on channel 3. We were on channel 32. They were always on the stronger TV station.
Right. But hey,
they had it. Go ahead.
But if it was making money, at least at some point, then you can't complain.
Oh no! Finally, we started making money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, we was producing at Channel 36 in Louisville. They got a new station manager. He wanted to play big shot and double our rates. So Miser said, no, thank you. We went out and bought our own. Now, this is about 1982. Miser went out and bought like $30,000 worth of editing equipment. And Randy studied all that shit. So now we're doing our own TVs in me and Randy's house.
Oh my goodness.
We were taking the cameras to, like, okay, here's a match from Oak Hill, West Virginia.
Right.
Here's a match from fucking Lexington, Kentucky. Here's a match from Johnson City, Tennessee. Here's a match from Springfield, Illinois. Here's a match from fucking Memphis. It looked like we were half-ass big time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, what it was the production wasn't good, because what we ended up doing then, David, was when we bought our own cameras, we would go to Lexington before, and we would have the 2-inch tapes and the 3/4-inch tapes. We eliminated all the 2-inch tapes, which were the more expensive ones, and we eliminated a lot. At one time, we had like 13 TV markets, which was a lot.
For sure.
And we eliminated a lot of those. And but all of a sudden, it didn't cost as much to run. In the meantime, Miser had bought a $33,000 ring truck. He had bought 2 Iveco diesel vans for like $16,000 a piece. This is about 1981. So the heels would have a van and the baby faces would have a van, and nobody would burn their cars up. So when we really wasn't making money, we were acquiring shit. You know what I mean? Then there was always insurance, fucking getting rings fixed up, this and that. You always had different kind of bills and shit, you know. And you had to run. You had to run all the time to make fucking money, because you had salaries to fucking make and bills to fucking pay.
When you left at some point, did you get anything back? Did you get a van? Did you get a TV camera?
Oh, I got my money.
There you go.
Back that I invested $10,000 in it, and I got it back.
Well, you can't argue with that. Did you know back in the day that Randy Savage had the talent to be such a big star in this business?
Oh yeah, but I learned right away with Randy. He says, "You know why I'm the champion?" I said, "Oh man, because you're the best. You can do all this shit. You know, editing. You know, fucking booking." He says, "No, because my daddy owns it."
I want to take a moment to talk to the listeners of Sitting Ringside. As I've talked about before on this podcast a little bit, for those who don't know me, I'm kind of a vain guy, actually. And about 15 years ago, I started losing a little bit of my hair on the back of my head. And I was not a happy camper about it. It happens to most people by the age of 35. They start losing their hair. I was a little bit older than that, but not much. So I tried all the snake oil stuff. I tried the shampoos that I paid $28 a bottle for that didn't work. And then when I couldn't find anything that worked, I tried to wear a baseball hat everywhere that I went if I could and try to hide my bald spot. Now I've sort of had to come to grips with the fact that I got a big old bald spot in the back of my head. But if I would have known about forhims.com, it all could have been different. Forhims.com is a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. And thanks to science, baldness can now be optional. And this is the real deal, folks. You get to deal with real doctors and medical-grade solutions, and it's really simple. You don't have to go to an office. You just go to their website, fill out some forms. A doctor will prescribe the product for you, and they'll be shipped directly to your door. As someone who's owned several businesses, I'm a huge believer in testimonials. I can tell you how great my stuff is. I can tell you how great this stuff is. But if you get real people, real customers that are giving you their real experience and real stamp of approval, it tells you all you need to know. Check out their website. They got tons of positive reviews and testimonials from people who have used this product, people just like you. My listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now while supplies last. You can see the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. $5 is less than the cost of a burger meal. Go to forhims.com/Penzer. That's forhims, forhims.com/PENZER. forhims.com/Penzer to get your trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. What do you got to lose? You mentioned going to work for Ole. That was in '84 WWF. It swiped the Georgia Championship Wrestling WCW Saturday and Sunday night time slots that were so big. I remember it as a fan. Right. I remember it as a fan, Black Saturday. You turned it on. Freddie Miller was there and brought on Vince McMahon. You were waiting for the Georgia guys. But Ole, when Ole brought you in, he got a Saturday morning time slot, like really early, like at 7:00. Brought you in, teamed you with Ted Oates as the Hollywood Blondes. Yeah. How was that experience? Because they had a hard time trying to keep it going at a 7 a.m. time slot. How was that experience trying to keep what was once a flourishing territory, going for week after week?
Well, good. I got some good stories about that.
There you go. I'm going to put my questions down and listen to your stories.
Okay. It's like I was working for Ron Fuller. I was there for 11 months. I started out as a junior heavyweight. Then Ron Fuller says, I don't know what to do with you. I said, oh, fuck, what am I doing wrong? He said, well, you're getting the most reaction, but you're not trying to. You're just working. He said, I'm going to keep you off TV and see what happens. He kept me off TV for 6 weeks and still in the fucking house shows. Now, I got to remember, we had regular towns. Right. So we had Birmingham on Monday, Mobile on Tuesday, Montgomery on Thursday, Spot Show on Friday, Dothan and TV on Saturday, and Pensacola on Sunday. So he said, what he did was we did an angle on TV where I was too fat. And all of a sudden I was a little scouting territory, and they started calling me Fatso because I couldn't make the junior heavyweight limit. I'm balancing on one foot and taking my clothes off, and they was calling me Porky and Fatso and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, my last 10 weeks, I got to work with Austin Idol.
Wow.
And which was good for the territory because I learned to be total entertainment with Idol. If not, he was dead. I had to learn to cater to fucking him, and we drew big ass. But one night we was in Montgomery, and Bob Armstrong said, hey, Rip, he said, you and Idol got the record. I said, what? He said, you drew more than Hogan here and more than Flair here, you against Idol. And I'm like a little Mark going, holy shit, you know what I mean? He says, but kayfabe Idol, he'll want more money. But this is how it was, David. And then so the last couple of weeks, I moved to Miss T's in Atlanta and stayed there. But I'd make the shot from Fuller's territory from Atlanta.
Right.
And when I went in, Bob Armstrong fixed it up. Ole told me everything that was going on. He said, I want to make you a transition champion because the Road Warriors are leaving and going to Minneapolis. And he created that monster with the muscles and blah, blah, blah. So he wanted more traditional workers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I said, okay. So I went into fucking Ole. Money was never discussed. He had never met me before. And he called me and he said, Bob Armstrong told me you could do the job. I said, okay, Ole, I'll be there. He says, I said, no, just tell me when to be there. And that was it. So I had a very good relationship with Ole because I could see he was like Randy. Every other word he'd say was fuck, but it really didn't mean anything. And Ole could be watching the TV, doing this, doing that, blah, 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 8 things at once. And he understood it all. And he was still fucking working, running the fucking office, doing whatever. And hell, a couple of times I said, Ole, we're supposed to get paid on Tuesday. We was on tour, right? He says, fuck, I'd love to, but I ain't got no fucking money. We'll have to wait till Friday. I said, okay. So I just kayfabe, right?
Right.
And then a lot of times we'd be on the fucking, we'd fly into Columbus, Ohio and get them fucking rent-a-cars. Ole had me putting some of them on my fucking, my credit card.
Oh, geez.
That he would pay me later. You know what I mean? I remember Buzz Sawyer going, God damn it, can't you kayfabe around here? I said, okay, Buzz, get your own rent-a-car then. Then he's looking around and goes, oh, fuck, I better shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
But, so I worked there with Ole. And then here's a Dusty story, okay?
There you go.
Dusty, I'd send him a tape. Dusty called and goes, man, I see all this shit. We can do all this shit down in Tampa, blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, sorry, Dust. I already told Ole I was coming in for him. He goes, no, but you understand? I can do this. We can do that, blah, blah, blah. I said, look. I said, I already give Ole my word that I'd come in for him, and that's it. Oh, your word. So that was step one of getting heat with him.
So
I could go into
he wanted you to come in and give you a big spot in 83, 84 for championship wrestling from Florida.
Right.
Wow, that could have changed things.
Well, I mean, whatever you do in life, you do what you think is right. And at the time, now I'm just saying, well, I can't tell this guy. I promised this guy I'd come in, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I say, oh, no, I'm going to go here because I'm going to do this. And I don't believe nothing nobody tells me anyway because I already learned that.
Right.
And when people tell you you're going to make all this money, sometimes it does, sometimes it fucking don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
So anyway, then when Crockett took over, I had the 6 weeks of loser leave towns everywhere. Okay. And then I worked with Wahoo down in fucking Florida. We had the big super show in Miami. We had the super show in Miami, and it was fucking sold out. And I worked against Bugsy McGraw. So me and Bugsy did comedy since everybody else. All the big stars from TBS and Charlotte came in. And every person, every match had juice except mine. So obviously we stole the show because everybody else, you fed them chicken, but all of a sudden you give somebody some hamburger, the hamburger tastes good, right? It wasn't the same old shit. So the next big show, I got left off. And I said, Chief, I got left off. He said, that wasn't me, that was Dusty. I said, oh, I get it. I said, I get it. I understand. I said, well, Chief, I'll see you. I'm leaving. Now, this is when I'm stupid, okay? Because I'm making fucking money. He says, no, I'll pay you. I'll meet us down in Key West the next fucking day, and we'll just keep on going. I said, man, this is stupid, but I'm just like you, Chief. You told me you walked out on 6 in a row. He says, I'm leaving. He goes, when are you leaving? I said, I'll be gone in 2 fucking hours. And I did.
Now, around this time, you had hooked up, you had a valet, Brenda Britton. How'd you go about meeting her? And I always wanted to ask you this. Was that a business relationship, or was that a personal relationship, or a little bit of both?
We was married 12 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. I guess it was a personal relationship.
We kayfabe. Yeah, I met her in Lexington with ICW. So then she ended up working with me for fucking Fuller. And then we went to Atlanta with Ole. Then we went to fucking Tampa. Then we went to fucking, let me see, back to fucking, she didn't work with Jarrett. Then I worked for Fuller again against Adrian Street. So we had the big ass program there against Adrian Street for 6 months there. And as soon as I got done with Adrian, I left because I couldn't top it artistically. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just perfect. And I said, everything from here's a bummer. So then I went out to fucking Kansas City, and she worked with me there. And then I was going to go to Calgary, and she was going to go, and all of a sudden she said, I'm tired of the road. I don't want to go. So I said, okay. So I went to fucking Calgary. Then I started everywhere else, blah, 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 and the rest was history.
So how is Calgary different from all the mostly southern territories that you work?
Well, Calgary, a lot of times they'd have like a 3-hour show. They would have tremendous long matches on a lot of weekly towns, but people were used to it. So they were used to having I remember working a lot of matches, Chris Benoit, 30-minute matches. And then they were used to long shows. There wasn't that much entertainment. So it drew good, but it was so much fun because they had the babyface van, the heel van. And of course they hated me at first because I was American taking a fucking Canadian's job because that's the way it was. You had to have working papers, right?
Right.
But Scotty McGee was out there. He was out there as Garfield Forks. And when me and him was out there, we was out running around doing everything you shouldn't be doing. And he had that goddamn stroke there at the fucking at the Mohawk gas station. He's getting ready to gas up to go. I think it was to Edmonton that night. And that's when they had that fucking stroke and got all messed up and everything.
Oh, that's the night it happened?
And yes. I mean, we went out and we had some fun. And then the next day, he says, I'll see you in the morning. He says, I'm going to go to the gym. We got to gas up. So he went to gas up, but I guess he had a stroke in that fucking parking lot gassing up or whatever.
Did you ever?
But Calgary.
Go ahead.
Calgary was fun, man.
Seems like you had fun everywhere you went. I'm a little jealous.
I did. Jesus Christ. I had fun, but I wasn't a drinker. I wasn't a smoker. I had seen guys do cocaine. Now, if you give me some free pain pills, I could take some of them. But I was just like Eddie fucking Haskell, having fun and fucking ribbing and doing other shit you're not supposed to be fucking doing. But accused of a lot, never convicted of anything, so I'm innocent.
Did you ever have an opportunity to go to Japan? And if so, why didn't you go?
No. Well, I went 3 times.
Oh, well, that makes me look stupid. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does. But, you don't need me to make you look stupid. You look stupid on your own, right? So, well, now this is how the wrestling world works. I used to come home and run Seymour once a year, no matter where I was at. So the last 3 shows I ran, we'd always did 1,000 people. And I'm talking about with no TV, right? And it was just fucking wrestling. At the time, I used Akio Sato, who was working for Jarrett.
Right.
So I went down to Louisville. So what I would do is I'd give Jarrett a 11% booking fee, use his insurance, and I'd book some guys and make the payoffs, right? So it was me and I was babyface Seymour, me against Tojo, or me against Sato, and Tojo was the manager. So I paid them a whole lot better than normal promoters would. So Sato said, hey, you want to go to Japan? You let me know. So this is with Baba, right?
Right.
So I said, okay. So I said, okay, whenever you can arrange it. So I'm just laughing. then all of a sudden, a couple months later, I get a thing, and hey, you're booked for Baba. So I went there for Baba the first time. Now, the first night in was TV, and I was working against Hara, who I knew from the Maritimes, and fucking Tenru, who's goddamn fucking like a bull, right?
Right.
And these motherfuckers about beat the shit out of me, not realizing that's the way they work fucking television, right? So the next fucking night, I'm working, and all of a sudden, I went into fucking queer character, and started fucking moonwalking and everything, effeminate, right? And all of a sudden, Joe Higuchi says, Baba say you do that from now on. I said, I got you, boss. I was doing that for fucking self-preservation. So the next tour was set up was to work me against Baba in the final night. So I go work a 4-week tour for them, so I never lose a match. I weigh about 205. And all of a sudden, the last 3 nights were in Tokyo. So the last 3 nights, he says, rips on, make up, finish. I said, okay. So I get my finish. He goes, oh, no, you lose tonight. I said, I lose? I said, am I fucking stupid or what? I'm in the last goddamn match against Baba. He says, oh, no. Tonight, sold out. Tomorrow, sold out. Last night, already sold out. I said, oh, fuck. Whatever their finish is, I lose, baby. Who gives a rat's ass? So I worked with fucking Baba the last night, and he gave me a $2,000 bonus, so I was after him fuck.
Yeah, and that was U.S. cash money, correct?
Yeah, and then a couple of years after that, then I went. Did you know Victor Quinones?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now he was there when I was down in Puerto Rico for 9 months in '89. So he called me up and said, hey, I want you to go work in Korea and Japan and do the queer gimmick. I said, okay, but I want you to book me in Mexico for about 3 months. I want to learn lucha just to do it.
Right.
He said, okay. So I went and worked for that fucking Wing promotion. Them motherfuckers actually put each other on fire, would hit each other with real baseball bats, real barbed wire, beat the fuck out of each other. And I was doing the queer shit and was getting all the reaction, right? And I'm just shaking my head. Jesus Christ. But then what fucking little Victor did, then all of a sudden it was time for it to get me booked, and he kayfabed me on the phone calls. I said, oh, he got me. What the fuck, right? So that was that. So I went to Japan 3 times. Then I got asked back to go again. But after the second time there, it was horrible. I was just bored to death. You had trips. You was with the guys a lot. And most American guys, they're all fucking drinking and playing cards and whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I said, been there, done that, on seeing this shit. So it really wasn't my cup of tea.
So I have a question for you. I've told my story before on how I got into WCW, and I always bring you up, you and Italian Stallion and Mike Jackson. Because I never realized that, that at least back in the time in WCW that Jody Hamilton had sort of enhancement bookers. And you had sort of Indiana, Ohio, Stallion and George South had the Carolinas. Mike Jackson had Alabama. Somehow I got Florida. I don't know what happened, but as a favor to Bob Roop, which is how I weaseled myself in the business. But is that something that just Jody Hamilton did in WCW, or is that like a long-standing practice in the wrestling business?
That was everywhere. It'd be like Jody'd say, "Hey, TV next week, bring me 4 fresh faces. Give me the best attitude and bodies and look as you can. But if you can't find any with that look good, give me back. Give me something. Just make sure you got 4 bodies." I said, okay, I got you. And then he might say, don't bring this guy back. Bring this guy back again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got that a lot.
Okay, but you don't know what they want, right? Because I remember one time I brought Kane with me, right?
He wrestled
From
Sting
St.
in
Louis.
Dothan. I thought he wrestled Sting in Dothan, Alabama.
I can't remember. I just called him big guy and made him sit in the back and made him shut up. You know what I mean? Just the way everybody was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So
I remember one time, hey, you're like this. Remember the fucking trans sheet we get, right?
Yeah, I used to hand it out.
Yeah, and fucking walking man, that's fucking you. His dog, that fucking walking man. He walking around, staying fucking busy because nobody can figure out what he fucking does and how he scammed his way in here.
So hey, but before you finish the story, seriously, I want a third, and you're an honest guy, a third person point of view. What you were there almost every week when I was there. What was, and Junkyard Dog called me Walking Man, and he was always nice to me, and, most of the guys were cool. What were you all thinking? I'm curious, brutally honest. I can take it. I've been around this business for 30 years, so my feelings don't get hurt.
No, I never thought nothing of it. I just knew. I said, well, the wrestling business is who you know, who you blow, who you're related to, whatever. And that's the way it is. I said, this little fucking Jew motherfucker, he must have something on somebody, so you better leave that motherfucker alone. You know what I mean? And then dog was funnier than shit because when I was in Louisiana, I made a lot of money because I was on dog's cards. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I didn't give a fuck. Fuck, I booked dogs for fucking shows. I sent him $200 up front, and then Pez was supposed to babysit him. He showed up, and I said, Pez, where's dog? He goes, he never showed the meeting place. I said, well, I didn't think he was. I said, it got me for $200, but what the fuck, right? Oh, shit. Oh, but anyway, it'd be like Jody needed those fresh faces for all those tapes, right? So we just couldn't keep beating the same guys as fucking much. A lot of times he'd come in, he'd say, come on in, blah, 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 but I'm going to leave you off TV I'm going to leave you off TV so you don't get seen too much so there's no complaint, Oh, that one time, you motherfucker, I remember we was talking about the trans sheets, and you goes, well, Jody, I already gave Rip a trans. Jody gave me 2 trans sheets, right?
I know. Yeah, Scott Demore has told me similar stories to this.
Yeah, because So, and then you had to be smartened up, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it was left in between. You know what I mean?
Well, you smartened me up, but I never knew that Scott Demore guy was doing that because I sort of at that point was working because I was booking Scott Demore and his guys and getting a little something from Scott Demore's guys. So then I got the job as ring announcer. I stopped really doing that behind the scenes stuff, and I guess Demore picked up where I left off. And I didn't realize that he recently told me the story about how he's getting double trans, and I guess at one point I screwed him because I didn't realize it. But me, I got heat.
You didn't know no better.
No, I didn't know.
But when Jody said, he says, "Hey, you get the double trans sheet," but he said, if there's some kind of gimmick, he said, just kayfabe it, and I'll fix it. I said, okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, oh God, now you're like this. We can tell some good stories. I think the statute of limitations has been up, right? But here's one thing. I used to run some developmental towns for Ole in Indiana.
Right.
So I might have like 4 days, right? So I'd have all the big top stars there, and so I would be the promoter. I'd get mileage. I'd get per diem. I was the promoter. I was the agent. I worked the first match. I got the jackets. I announced, and there was one other thing. Announced, got the jackets.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell. You got paid for everything, right? So I was bankrolling good till like goddamn Bischoff come in and said, I'd rather lose $250,000 and run the Astrodome instead of run these tank towns and people seeing we're in fucking high schools. I said, yeah, but I'm bringing back a profit. You're losing fucking money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he killed the house shows and went to Disney. So my question to you, I guess, and you sort of answered it. I think I know the answer. So was that just the Jody Hamilton thing, or is that something that would happen back in TBS in the 80s and different territories in the 70s? I
think that was everywhere. That was everywhere. When I went to WWF, this guy that I met in Oak Hill, he brought me and a couple other guys. And Gorilla Monsoon would say, "Hey, bring me four guys for goddamn Harrisburg. Bring me 3 days for TV at the old building, Civic Arena in Philadelphia or something like that." Fuller would tell Mike Jackson, hey, bring me 4 guys for this. You know what I mean? Watts' territory, they had the guys. I would go over and do TV for fucking Fritz Von Erich or work some house shows. And like when they couldn't get nobody to work with Bill Masker, so they'd send me over there to work for him. They'd want me to do TV to put a couple guys over. Didn't give a shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sure, let's go. What the fuck, right? But here, you'll like this. Now, years ago, you know how the Atlanta was always sort of fucked up in their bookkeeping. To make a long story short, let's say if you was on like always said, anytime you want to work around your house, just show up and tell them I said it's okay. If not, they can call me.
Right.
So a lot of times I just go to fucking towns. And I just come in and say, oh, I'm in Dayton, Cleveland, and whatever, blah, blah, these 3 days because Ole said to come. I said, you want to call him? Oh, no, that's okay, you know. So then I was having some fun with that. And then Ole could say, okay, you want to work a dark match at the pay-per-view, or you want to work security, or just hang out? I said, I want the meal and just hang out. The pay was the same, right?
Exactly.
Because, you know, what the fuck? So then it got to be, we could be like on tour with WCW, and let's say you weren't there, but I signed your name the first day, David Penzer. So look, all the guys do it is turn into the payroll guy. So at the end of the week, let's say you was there 8 days, you would get a check for 8 days.
Yeah, there were some ways to buck the system, that's for sure.
Okay, let's just say I'd be getting some kickbacks, and then all the guys would have. This was before they had the cell phones, so they were all doing the fucking sex lines or whatever. So they would all put it on my number. I had everything with different guys, so this guy owed me. This guy owes me this much. You owe me. They always paid right up. You know what? You know, boom, boom, boom. And then I'd tack a little to it, but so I was making money from they would be on the sex lines, and they would fucking be on my phone bill. And I'd have everybody say, oh, here's your name, here's your name, here's your name, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's amazing. And all the big top stars that did that, but we'll just keep it at that. Then when they're dead, we'll laugh.
Yeah, actually, there's some guys, I'll never say their names out loud in this forum, but right. You know, that were big names that were good-looking guys that did some stuff that these days get you in a lot of trouble in the Me Too movement. And
shit, yeah. When we was down there at Disney, remember they had the fucking the sex shop that I can't remember at that little town before, but I took all the fucking boys there a couple times. Jesus fucking Christ. I
don't remember the sex shop, mostly because my wife used to come on those trips. So,
oh well.
Were you ever frustrated in WCW because you knew you had the record with Austin Idol, you had all these territories that you headlined or co-headlined. Were you ever frustrated that you didn't get more of an opportunity to do something, or were you just happy? You just seemed like you were happy, having the opportunity to scam some money off of Turner.
Fuck, I was just happy as fuck to be there. I just wanted this put me in the game, coach, right? Jesus Christ. When you win, it's not real. When you lose, it's not real. You're there you get to fucking play ball with these big timers. You know what I mean? You get to show you're as good as them, and most of the time you're better than them, and you know it. And they know it. But you don't give a shit because you just want to fucking act like you're fucking 22 with your lats out and have a good fucking time. Fuck. All my matches were fucking phony. Fuck it. If it was a real fight, my goddamn grandmother she could beat me probably. So, I'm trying to, fucking Roop was in the Olympics. I ain't out to impress nobody. Jesus fucking Christ. These guys could kill me in 10 seconds. So, hey, have a good fucking time. Do as you're fucking told. And you don't have to fucking work the fucking Green Gables for the day or whatever. What the fuck?
Oh, you're the best. So let's talk about your time as a trainer at OVW. How did I mean, you're a natural because of all the different styles that you know and how you could work. But how did that come about? And was it hard, coming off the road and, not doing all those, no sex shops and no 800 numbers and no ribs, and all of a sudden you're teaching the future stars of wrestling?
Well, first of all, when I talk fucking wrestling, I talk the way I do now. So, and I ribbed the shit out of everybody and didn't give a fuck. And nobody ever questioned my methods. Nobody ever come down to watch me. Nobody ever told me to make this guy a babyface or a heel. But I was a real football coach, and I was into real athletics, and I was into structured bodybuilding. So I knew what dedication was. I knew what it took to get there. So I started out, I'm teaching this. I'm running the developmental. I'm the only goddamn there. And I'm running everybody and all these fucking stars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just as bad as you, me, or anybody else off the street. They have no experience. They're just a dumb fucker on steroids, or a dumb guy jacked off that was in a movie, or jacked up and he's in a movie, or this former soccer star or whatever. It's my job is to have relax them, let them get home in a ring. And I remember Roop told me this when I was 30, working for Atlanta. He said, "You really picked this shit up, and you look great, and you're young, and now you're going to have a hard time getting booked." I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He said, "Now the bookers fear you because you're smarter than them, and they know it." I said, "God damn, I'm just wanting to fucking play. I'm not wanting to be the goddamn coach." You know what I mean? He says, "I know it, but everybody in wrestling is with paranoia." That is like in the wrestling business. If you're a masked man, they bring a masked guy in, you're in trouble.
Right.
If Pez is there and they bring Ernie Ladd in, Pez is in trouble, right? If fucking Carlos Colon's working, they bring in another Puerto Rican. It's all okay. There you are, a bleached blonde wearing pink. They bring some other guy in a blonde wearing pink. You're in trouble, right?
God bless Pez. God bless Pez, by the way. Got to say that.
Hey, Pez was best man at my first wedding.
I didn't know that.
We were fucking partners. We did it fucking all, man.
He was a great guy.
Jesus fucking Christ. We had some fucking fun. We had the boxing match, like when we had that boxing match in Frankfurt with the William Harding thing was fucking Bob Roop and the Sugar Hole Challenge, right?
Right.
I said, fuck, we got to make this look at it. Pez said, okay, you go ahead and shoot and I'll just work. So we did. So I'd be trying to kill him, right? He's just fucking laughing. But that was that. So somehow we got fucking sidetracked, but what the fuck, right?
So I wanted to ask you a couple questions. Most natural person you've ever trained in the wrestling business?
I don't know. Because if you're a wrestler's kid, you already know the psychology pretty much, and you're not nervous. Some guy that's never done this, they could bring you in for a tryout, and you could be the most in shape guy in the world, but because you're nervous, you're not in familiar surroundings, you could be blown up in 5 minutes. So you got to look at the learning curve. You got to look at the experience factor. You look. I don't judge a book by its cover, and a lot of the guys started out great, then they never got any better. And some guys were horrible in the beginning, then all of a sudden the light bulb went off.
And that's what I was going to ask you next. Who is the least natural guy who ended up making it big time?
I don't really want to know. I don't know because, and it's like
you're not naming names, huh?
Right? No. It's like I would say, this ain't real. So it ain't the Olympics where the top three make the team. You could be in 8th, 9th, and 10th place, but you guys get the call because somebody likes you, somebody's related to you. You look like somebody some bullshit writer sees something that you look like his fucking cousin. I have no fucking idea. And I said, as a matter of fact, you can not get booked for looking too good. Your hair's too nice. You can woo better than this guy. You can strut better than that guy. You can do all this stuff better than the stars. So what do? They keep you off TV or get you fucking fired. And it happens every day of your fucking life there. So, but this is the business we chose to be in. So you got to remember that. So it's not real when you win. It's not real when you lose. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, they can make a star out of anybody. And that's all. And that's the way it is. And if I'm the boss, I will choose who I want to fucking push. It's my goddamn business. And everybody else go fuck themselves. It's my goddamn business.
I know that you've had a hand in training probably 30 of the top guys in the business over the last 15, 20 years.
Here's what I'm proud of, David.
That's what I was going to ask you. What you're most proud of?
Okay, now, the guys they chose to train, that's no big deal. I got 63 guys' jobs that walked through the doors that weren't the chosen few. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. That actually came. Okay. That actually had to come in through the front and not get WWE sponsored.
Yeah, and they weren't getting paid to do this.
Right.
Some guys was. Well, that's like Serena Deeb. She's working at the Performance Center in Orlando now, right?
Right.
I had her and she was 18 years old. She was going to college and had 3 fucking part-time jobs to get by. Now she's back at the Performance Center. But 63 motherfucking guys got their fucking foot in there and got some kind of contract. Some of them kept it. Some of them fucking didn't. You know what I mean? Most of the guys would fuck up because they weren't used to being in the big time, and they get fucked up on drugs or get drunk, and they'd make an example out of it. So everybody'd be walking on pins and needles. You know what I mean? And that's the way it was. But I pretty much do the same thing I do now as what I did then. And I treat everybody the same, like shit. But I'm not there to be your buddy. No, I'm there to hopefully get you a job. You know what I mean? And I'm tough. I'm fucking firm. And you will do a fucking hour cold in the fucking ring. You're not going to do like these motherfuckers are today, lining your spots up. I never been in a goddamn ring in my fucking life to go over a fucking match. I cannot fucking believe it still.
Yeah, that's
like when you had
that's what it is now. That's what it, whether you like it, whether you like it or you hate it, you know, whatever you think of it, that's what it is. You know, it's just a fact. I'm not insulting anybody. Right. That's what it is now. When I was in a TNA and Impact, you know, I walked into the Impact zone and everybody's going over their match with the agent. So it's not like know, not like they're doing it on their own.
Right. Now, can you think of this? An agent. I go and I said, "Oh, get over. Put this guy over." I said, "You want to register? You want to sell? How strong do you want?" It's my job to know all that shit, right?
Right.
It's my job not to step on anybody else's toes. It's my job not to nick anybody's stuff that they're fucking doing to be fucking different. Watch the other goddamn matches. You know what I mean?
It's a in a little bit of defense. It's a totally different entity now, Rip, because you know they need the agents to tell them when they're doing this move and the agents tell the wrestlers, you know, after you do this move, we're going to show a quarter screen replay. So don't do another big move until we're done with the replay. And then so the agent tells the referee in his ear, the referee tells the rest. It's a production like it wasn't when you were in Paducah, Kentucky. And you know whether you like it or you don't like it, it's just changed. You know. Right. It changed, but the big rib is, they go to New Orleans twice a year and do what we did every week. They go to Memphis twice a year and can't even draw what Jarrett would draw on a Monday night, on a regular Monday night. You know what I mean? 52 times a year. Absolutely.
You know, and then for TV, all we're going to do is pay for the town, get the camera angles, put the fucking canvas things to cover all the fucking seats, gimmick the fucking angles, do this and that. But like I tell everybody, I said, if you can, like I had matches Sunday, and I said, no, I'll say you against you. You're a babyface heel. Call it. You're going 15. Go. You watch the other matches. Okay, whatever they did, don't do it. Go. And I throw them in the water. And you learn to work.
Sure.
Because if you can do mine, it's 1,000% easier, or it's 1,000% harder. And then when you get to the other stuff, it's a hell of a rib.
Yeah, no, I'm nodding my head as you speak, because if you could jump in the water and do it without the production and the spots and all that, then the rest is gravy, man. When you finally get there,
yeah,
absolutely. Hey, I love following your Twitter. You put out honest messages about to aspiring wrestlers. Well, if you had to, you've done a lot of that today already on the podcast, but if you had to give out one message to current aspiring wrestlers to sort of get the business, what would it be?
A, it's not real. Don't take anything fucking personal. Don't try and be the next Undertaker or Shawn Michaels. They've seen that act. Be different. They're looking for something different. And anything old is new again. Because if they're catering to kids, you got new fucking kids every so many fucking years. But just think how good you had to be as a goddamn champion years ago. Like if you was a Dory, a fucking Terry, a Jack fucking Briscoe, a Harley Race. You have to be able to go an hour every night, sometimes a baby face, sometimes a heel, with some guys you hadn't even really seen before.
Right.
That's how good you had to fucking be.
Absolutely.
And people say, they won't watch today. Well, I said, well, people will watch today. You'll sure as hell watch a 15-round boxing fight because the announcer is there pushing the fight and nothing else. It's excitement. You will buy anything if it's shoved down your throat. You're talking about the fucking Diva Search and a fucking cruise and a pay-per-view, the next 6 fucking pay-per-views and whatever they're talking about, blah, blah, blah. You don't give a shit about fucking wrestling. If they push wrestling, you buy wrestling. If they push a top wrist lock, you buy a top wrist lock. As Barnett would say, TV's my star, my boy. Whatever's pushed on goddamn TV, you will fucking believe it as fucking gospel. They could take you, David Penzer, and make you the world's smallest strong guy, and you could out-muscle everybody and make them give up to a full Nelson or whatever.
That's true.
And after about 10 weeks, people would start. Fucking Ronnie Garvin, all of a sudden he had the hands of stone, right? For fucking 30 years before that, he couldn't bust a grape, right?
And actually bought him about an extra 10, 15 years on his career.
Right. But TV will make a star out of anybody. They make you or break you. And if you ever get a job, treat every minute, live every minute of it, because they can end it for no fucking reason. And you're shit out of luck because there ain't no place to go anymore, and that's fucking it. And
that's Rip Rogers, folks. You get what you get. And I knew this was going to be a blast. Hey, be sure to follow him on Twitter at Hustler2754 at Hustler2754. Even if you don't want to be a wrestler, if you're an aspiring wrestler, I definitely recommend it because the advice that you give is invaluable. But even if you're just a student of the game, a mark like me who loves the business and wants to learn about what the business used to be like, I encourage you to follow him. And it's been a blast, Rip. I appreciate it. I hopefully, I was going to say I'd love to see you down the road and buy you a drink, but you said you're not a drinker, so.
Yeah, I still don't fucking drink, Well, use that fucking that walking manpower persuasion, and so get somebody to bring my ass into that fucking one of them goddamn Tampa things sometime.
All right, we're gonna work on it.
I put the heat on you right there. But you can edit it if you fucking want.
I'm not editing a word of this. This is all going out word for word, fuck for fuck, and goddamn, there's a lot of them. And the reason is because this is how everybody in the wrestling business talked in the 70s and 80s. This is Jim Ross talked this way, Jim Cornette talked this way, Arn Anderson talked this way. This is how everybody talked. Every fucking third word was a fuck. And you could say, hey, fucking Jew bastard walking around with a fucking with a sign-in sheet. Where the hell he come from? Who does he know? And you can say that, and nobody gave a shit, and it's a different world, and I'm not gonna. It's not my place to say if it's better or worse. I have my own opinions, but I don't discuss that on this podcast. But that's how it was. So I want, if nothing else, I want people that listen to this podcast, and people who may not listen, but I'm going to promote the heck out of it. And hopefully you will too on Twitter once it goes live. I'll let you know. But on Monday. But I want people to realize that this is how the business was. This is how the guys talked. This is how the guys acted. This is how we killed the time in the back, and this is how we drove down the road. Playing ribs and telling stories because there were no cell phones and internet and anything like that. You had either the radio that would go in and out of different stations every 10 minutes, or you told stories and you played ribs.
The fucking cars is where you learn the business, man. That's like I'd be stuck in the fucking car and I'm in the back seat in the middle because I was the big greenhorn. Everybody else is talking, and they'd ask me a question. I'd say something. Before I'd answer, I said, just shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. As soon as you open your mouth, you're going to be an idiot. And I said, I know. So I just shut up and listen. And everything I learned in the business, nothing was really explained to me. A lot of it was just monkey see, monkey do. And I'd watch this guy, how he would do it. And then you'd finally figure this shit out. But I remember being in Portland, I'd ride with the Bushwhackers and Buddy Rose every day, right? So we're just fucking telling stories, fucking ribbing. I'm shitting in a goddamn glass jar. So then they'd act like I was farting. So they'd be smoking, eating their marijuana cookies, smoking fucking dope, going down the fucking highway, playing the fucking music, fucking singing. And all of a sudden I'd pull that thing out and put it in the back of Butch's head. Oh my God, mate. Oh, you fucking shit, you fucking fast. Blah, blah, blah. And Buddy give me the Iggy. 10 miles later, I'd pull that son of a bitch, that fucking, that glass bottle full of fucking, that stuff you'd put preserves in or whatever, and put that fucking, that shit underneath. Oh, it's just funnier than fuck.
I wasn't gonna bring that jar up, but that was something you were definitely famous for. I think Sid Vicious almost lost it one time in. No. Let me tell you the story about that because this is what really fucking happened. You know how Sid was such a presence and a character, right? Sure.
And
you're not. But go ahead.
I know, but this guy looks like a killer, right?
Sure.
So he was picking on a couple green boys, and they were scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I said, "Come here, you big fat fucker." And remember how DDP used to have those? What were them candy bars? They looked like Tootsie Rolls, but they were protein, the health bars.
Oh, I don't know anything about protein bars. I'm a non-athlete.
But anyway, I palmed one, and I acted like I shit in my hand. And fucking Sid thought I'd fucking shit in my hand, was going to put a fucking turd in his face.
I remember.
So he'd take off running down.
He came out yelling and screaming.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That motherfucker's shit in his hand. He's crazy with that southern accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was Dothan too, or maybe I just call everything Dothan.
I can't fucking remember. But hell, it's like I remember I was riding with Bulldog Bob Brown. So we get into fucking Bridgewater, Nova fucking Scotia. So I went to the hotel and I got these little peanut butter things. So I put it on the fucking toilet. I said, Bob, look at this shit. Somebody shit over here. These motherfuckers. So I took it with my fucking finger. I held my fucking nose and put it in my fucking mouth. And Brown's going, and he's puking, right? I can't. All I did was put peanut butter in my mouth, right? And he thought I put shit in my fucking mouth.
You could have.
But anyway, I just fucking.
You could have fun with Bobby. You could have fun with Bobby eating like that.
Oh yeah. Uh huh. But anyway,
God bless Bobby.
Oh, fuck.
Hey, Rip, thanks so much for hopping on, man. It's been a blast from the past and great stuff. And again, Hustler 2754 on Twitter. It is an education from a guy who's lived many generations of the business and taught many of the stars that you watch at WrestleManias today. So. Thank you so much, man, and definitely stay in touch, and we'll try to figure something out on that Tampa gig.
Yeah, put the heat on fucking Barry to get my fucking ass down there or whatever. Now, what it is, I want you to make me. I want the option to say no. You know, I mean, it's always, oh no, I can't. I got too much shit going on. You know. Well, stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna have him play this. Link this podcast to his Championship Wrestling from Florida archives page. And when people hear the stories that you tell, then hopefully we'll be able to get you down and do maybe like an after party at one of these things where you sit around and talk and tell stories and answer questions for 2 hours or something after the Fan Fest, because I think it'd be a blast just based on the hour or so we've had here. But we'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch, and best of luck to you, and we'll talk soon.
Been my pleasure talking to Walking Man.
Thank you to Rip Rogers. Did I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, did I tell you he still has a fanny pack, and he's proud of it, and he tells it like it is, and he likes a word that starts with F and rhymes with duck, and many, many, many people in the wrestling business, as we mentioned during that interview, say it every 3 words. It's actually amazing to me that some of the guys who say that word every 3 or 4 words that they say then go on TV, whether as an announcer or as a cutting promos, and never once in their career of 30, 40 years have dropped an F-bomb on camera. But then, they put the microphone down and it's, how's that fucking promo? Does it fucking sound good? Excuse my French, but that's what it is. So it's amazing that they're able to turn that switch on and off. But he is what he is, and I hope you found it entertaining. I certainly did, and get a little insight into the wrestling business in the 70s, 80s, and early 90s, and a portrait of a guy who didn't really care about the money, didn't really care about the fame. He just loved doing what he was doing and enjoyed every day to the fullest. And again, if you want to follow him on Twitter, if you're an aspiring wrestler or a fan of the business, I would stress that you do. It is, and I'm waiting for it to pop up, at Hustler2754, Rip Rogers, at Hustler2754 on Twitter. So he tells it like it is, honestly, and like he said, he throws 2 guys in the water, doesn't let them call a spot, and lets them learn the hard way. And could you imagine if you do that for 6 months or 8 months and go to NXT, how easy it is when you get to go over things. So an honest guy, a brutally honest interview from a brutally honest guy, and a good friend, and an old-timer for sure. So I want to thank Hustler Rip Rogers. If you are interested, we had Al Snow on a couple of months ago who bought Ohio Valley Wrestling. Rip Rogers is still the head trainer. As you heard, he bragged about the guys that came in through the front door, that he got jobs for WWE. And so if you're an aspiring wrestler and if you want to learn more about Ohio Valley Wrestling, be sure to Google Ohio Valley Wrestling. Between Al Snow and Rip Rogers, you got 2 guys with about 80 to 100 years of insight to the business, of eyes beyond anybody's time. So I definitely recommend it, and I want to thank once again Hustler Rip Rogers for sitting ringside. We're going to keep on rocking and rolling. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well, at David Penzer, at Penzer Ringside, and just keep, if you like this episode, let me know. If you didn't like it, you can let me know as well. As you see in that interview, I don't think you're going to hurt my feelings. Until next time, this is David Penzer, still sitting ringside. Take care, folks.
Follow David Penzer on Twitter, at David Penzer. Also, make sure to follow the show on Twitter at Penzer Ringside. You've been sitting ringside with David Penzer on Radio Influence.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.